Arsenal take on Chelsea. I always feel, no matter what, it's a big match. Giuseppe, how are you feeling about this? Do you think you could hurt Chelsea's season further? Is it going to be a mid-off, as people are suggesting? Could it be a battering for Chelsea? Could Arsenal struggle to score? How would you see the game panning out, mate?
I don't think Chelsea are going to get battered. I don't think it's going to be battering. I think it's going to be quite a close game. I do think we're going to win. I think, obviously, we've got Martinelli back now. Martinelli always seems to play quite good against Chelsea. Yeah, I think we're going to beat them. I think Chelsea fans are going to really think they're going to come and do something. You never know. I just don't think that Chelsea have looked. The problem for Chelsea coming up against us is we don't score a lot of goals. We've been struggling to create a load of chances, but their worst position, their worst part is their defense, mate. And that's the problem, that you don't want to come up against us with your weakness being your defense right now, because you'll give us the chances and then we'll end up converting a few. So I think we're going to win. If they had teams that have a solid back line and a solid defensively are the more ones that I'm fearing right now, with us not having an attack. Their attack can be what it is. That don't actually scare me, because I have faith in my defense and midfield that they're going to do what they need to do. Definitely against Chelsea, we've got quite a few players that always get up for these Chelsea games. Gabriel being one. Declan Rice loves playing against Chelsea. So yeah, listen, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's actually going to be quite an entertaining game. I think it's going to be one of them ones that's not entertaining in the sense of a 4-3 result, but I think it's going to be two teams going for each other. But I think we'll come out on top personally.
I think I think it will be for the majority. I think it will be like Man United Arsenal on Sunday in the second half. I think there'll be openings. I think there'll be chances. Roberto, obviously you're a Chelsea fan. You said it to us backstage before we went live. This is going to be shit. It's going to be a mid-off. Do you still think that, or in the last 90 minutes has your mind changed?
Nah, I still think it's gonna be a mid-off. I'm not gonna lie. I think both teams do not have an attack that really inspires any confidence. Let's be quite honest. Me personally, I'm not excited just because of the fact that, unfortunately for me, I have Robert Sanchez as my goalkeeper. I do not trust him. We saw what he did last season. Against Arsenal, literally just passed it to Declan Rice and started the comeback. They were 2-0 down. It was pretty much out of sight, and he played them back into the game. So I don't see it. I think the midfield battle is going to be interesting. I think it's going to maybe potentially be the most interesting part of the game, because I think both attacks are going to be very toothless, uninspired. I think it's going to be a draw, quite honestly. I don't have high expectations. I don't think anybody should go into this game thinking that it's going to be, high scoring or really anything pretty to look at. It's not, but it is what it is. I think that there's still, something to maybe be had in the game for us if we get an opportunity to. But with the form that our players are in, especially Palmer, I don't really have any hope. I think if somebody was going to take the victory, I think unfortunately it probably would be Arsenal, if I'm being realistic. But I think it's going to end up being a draw. This is my thoughts on it.
Is Sterling allowed to play, or is he because of he's on loan? Can he play this game?
Oh yeah.
I'm not sure.
I don't think he can. I don't think he can. I don't think he can.
Really matter.
He got a couple of assists against PSV. So
no, he can't. He can't play because he couldn't play the last game against Chelsea in the league.
So you're going to go 1 year.
Oh no! What a real blow for Arsenal.
Yeah, that's it now. I'm changing my result. Actually, Chelsea are going to it's going to be 1 year. It's going to be Wanyeri, Moreno, and it's either going to be Wanyeri, Moreno, and
Martinelli or Trossard, right?
And Martinelli on the bench, or they're going to play Trossard up top and play Martinelli and Wanyeri.
I think a draw's a safe. If I was a betting man, that's what I'd go for. I mean, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Your goalkeeping perspective is not great by any stretch of the imagination.
I hate Sanchez, man.
The one that's going to get criticised if he has a bad game yet again is going to be Cole Palmer. He's the one that everyone's going to look at. It's a big game away from home. You got the Conference League and the top four left to play for this season, where Arsenal are just, looking forward to Los Blancos. I think there's a hell of a lot more riding on it for you boys. And if you have another bad game, I mean, last year you got battered. What was it, 5-0?
5-0.
I think if Arsenal turn it on, I think they win the game. But I just think got to have a feeling that a 1-1 draw.
Henry, the one thing I will say is I generally believe that, for example, if we play the way we played against Manchester United on the weekend, although that was a draw. If we play that way against Chelsea, we win the game because I think Man United are more resolute at the back and better defensively than Chelsea. I just don't. Yeah.
But
I would
this
just
is
argue we have a. I would argue we have a better midfield though. That's what I would argue. That's what I'm saying. The midfield
And
battle
who?
gets to be
Man
interesting.
United.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You also
that's
did
what I'm
give
saying. That's what I'm saying. I think
You do.
if Arsenal find a way to bypass their midfield, that's where I think it gets really, really ugly. Because from what Maresca was saying, it appears that like we're probably gonna do what we usually do in big games, where we have Lavia playing as well as an option. So we have, Enzo, Lavia, Caicedo, and I think if you have Lavia, Caicedo shielding the backline, I think if you manage to get past them, Denzel, and that's why I really think that you can hurt us. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna come down to that midfield battle, right? Like if we limit the amount of opportunities that you get, then maybe we could get something in this game. But
Roberto, who would be your front? Who would be like your front three?
it's definitely gonna be. It's probably gonna be Neto up top. It's probably gonna be
Sancho and
Neto,
Nkunku?
Sancho, and then Nkunku. That's just kind of where we're at right now with the injuries.
1 minute. Sorry, but you said the midfield of. So where's Palmer?
Oh no, Palmer's in the 10, but we're probably gonna be playing Caicedo as right back, inverting into midfield.
Oh, okay.
That's what he's done this season in big games in order to get all three of them on the field at the same time. I think especially with the way
you did
that
against us, didn't you? In the 4-3 win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then obviously once we went down 2 goals, we had to be more offensive, so we had to take off Lavia so Caicedo could play more in the middle and win the ball back higher up the pitch. But yeah, in big games, that's how he set up this season. So
you don't think Fofana will play right back?
I mean, Fofan's gonna be playing in the back three, but no, probably not. Most likely it's probably gonna be Cucurella, Colwell, Fofana, and then Lavia is also on like kind of like an injury thing, so I'm assuming he'll be probably subbed off second half, and we get Reece James on.
Are you concerned about your attack? Because
yes, that's why I don't think we're gonna win it. I think the best we can get is a draw. That's what I'm saying. I think the best we can get is a draw. I don't see us
scored 3 goals over 2 games against Copenhagen, 1 against what was it, Leicester. Fair enough, you battered Southampton, but let's be honest, they are a mid-championship side. And then before that, you got battered twice by Brighton and by Villa. Like if Arsenal want to, they can just take a draw. But do you know what? I'm going to change it. I'm not changing a draw. Arsenal win this game 2-0.
You got to remember with Arsenal as well, rested Saliba, rested Timber pretty much, rested Thomas Partey. Yeah. A lot of resting.
I don't know why I would say a draw.
It's an interesting one for Chelsea because they've got 4 wins on the bounce. But then you look at the 2 games against Copenhagen, the 2 worst teams in the league. Prior to that, Villa beat them, Brighton beat them. It took a massively deflected goal to beat West Ham. City beat them 3-1, and City don't beat anyone up really these days. They did well against Wolves, and they drew with Bournemouth, drew with Palace. We're getting back into like January now. But I feel like this is a really interesting test for Chelsea. Have the last 4 games just been wins against inferior opponents, or have they got back towards that form that saw them win 8 games on the bounce in December and people started talking about title contention? And although I understand Roberto's prediction that it could be a mid-off and a draw and not particularly great, at the same time, Chelsea attack a lot, and that may play. I feel like you've got to adapt, not your system, but your game approach, and try and sit back and be deep and hard to break down. Because I think if you give this Arsenal team, even with their injuries, space, I think they'll exploit it. Because Brighton did, Villa did, City did, Bournemouth did, Palace did, and look, Arsenal haven't had a great season by the standards set out just over the last 2 years, but they're better than all those teams. In the league table doesn't lie. So I'm really intrigued by this game. I'm excited to see which, and equally with Arteta, I think if he tries to dominate the ball and pin Chelsea back, I actually think that could play into Chelsea's hands as well. I think that the team that wins this game has to afford possession to the other side at the right times in the match and make them attack you. It's almost, you've got to almost lure your opponents out with a bit of a trap and then spring on the attack. But it almost feels like that's Arsenal under Arteta have had many a pragmatic game. It's in there. I'm not sure if, and maybe I'm misreading Maresca, I'm not sure if that's how he tries to play. I feel like Chelsea are far more open in most games they play in. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how this one plays out. I really am. Really am.
I just think that Arsenal's attack, I think if they weren't Trossard as the false 9, Martinelli and Nwaneri, it'd be a little bit more threatening. but I think that teams are finding it very easy to neutralize Merino up front because Mikel Merino has one way of attacking. Whereas I think, and there's also, I don't know who'd be starting at left back for Arsenal, but I'm not the biggest fan of Madueke, but he can beat a man. If it's Calafiori at left back,
he's injured, bro.
oh, is Madueke injured?
They got Sancho. They got Sancho on that side.
There's a
so-
reason. There's a reason I told you that we're playing Neto up top, Sancho and Kuku.
But you know what though? I would
else.
genuinely then go Neto on the right though. I think that is the
And
one
then
area that Arsenal
who plays the
defends.
9
Who's
man
up
though?
front?
Palmer in a
Who's
false nine.
Who plays up front?
So then who plays up front? That's my question. Yeah, who would play up front? Because
You
we
might have
loaned
to-
out Felix, so we don't have a we don't have a backup 10.
Is Nkunku fit? I know he's not perfect, but he's better than nothing.
No, and Kuku is, yeah.
So
He
then
doesn't
I'll
like
go,
playing against big centre backs. He does. He
Yeah,
really
but-
doesn't like.
what you got to understand is that Chelsea don't have any way of breaking through that centre back partnership with any forward they've got. They've got no one who's going to cause that centre back partnership problems.
But that's why what Terry was saying earlier about if Chelsea give Arsenal the ball and counter, because Arsenal will push up on that back line. If Chelsea can isolate the back three and get net and just soak up the pressure, get the ball up to Nkunku or Neto or Sancho's got the pace.
But it's who the matchups are going to be against. So if Neto's receiving the ball on the counter, he's going to be up against Saliba and Gabriel, who are two of the best centre backs. Whereas if he's on the right, he's going to be up against Calafiori. Calafiori is horrendous in 1v1s at the minute.
Or Skelly.
If it's Skelly, it's a little bit more difficult. But that is the area where
unless Neto pulls
I
out
think
wide,
it is. I think it will be Skelly.
If it's Skelly, it's more difficult, but it's still the area in that back line where you can get at Arsenal. Because Skelly is a little bit more. He's still young. He's still got them occasional moments of over aggressiveness and over eagerness where he'll jump out.
And he suspended Skelly. Didn't he get a red card?
That was time ago now.
Yeah,
he missed the
against
Nottingham
West
Forest
Ham,
game.
innit?
Yeah,
he missed
West
the
Ham.
Okay.
He played against United, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Of course.
So I just think Chelsea needs to look at it that they can match up midfield wise pretty well. I think midfield wise that's probably the area where they've got the most quality, and it'll kind of neutralize each other in the midfield. I wouldn't be shocked if Arteta went really physical with his midfield, and you saw Marino come on in midfield at one point because he's thinking, if I'm not going to let them get time on the ball, I want to be hitting them with the physicality, with the height that we've got, and try and dominate them in that way. But you need to look at Chelsea and go, right, where can we hit this Arsenal team? There's spacing behind the fullbacks on the counter-attack. What you don't want to do then is play Sancho and Nkunku out wide because neither of them two are quick enough or have the instincts to exploit spacing behind fullbacks on the counter-attack. What you need to do is play your guy who can do that, which is Neto.
Well, the way that it works is like we play Neto in the 9, and he's kind of like the target man, especially when we're on counters. But he drifts to the right, like they interchange obviously because he's more naturally a winger, so he will find himself in those positions that you're speaking about.
It's not about the drifting. It's not about will he find himself out wide. It's about who's going to go with him out wide because Arsenal will defend man to man on counter attack.
It's most likely Palmer. Palmer's the one that kind of follows him into those spaces as well. It's on the left hand side.
I mean, the Arsenal defender follow Neto out wide, so Arsenal will defend in a bit of a man to man on the counter attack at least with their back line. If Neto is in the middle, that means either Gabriel or Saliba is following him. Those two will just physically bully him if the ball gets played into him. He cannot hold it up against those two. I don't think Nkunku can either. But Nkunku,
if they want to follow Neto as he's playing out wide and then give us more space through the middle, like I don't know what to say that then. I mean, I'm sure Mariska's thought about that.
But it's not going to be.
Neto's going to be dragging players out of position because he's going to go all the way to like the byline. Like that's the way that, like he's going to try to get to
But it's ultimately pointless if the moment Neto gets the ball, the centre back's on him and just straight into him, wins it back anyway. Unless the plan on Chelsea's counter-attacks is going to be Pedro Neto is our decoy. He's going to go run out wide, and we are not going to give him the ball, and we're going to hope that either Gabriel or Saliba follows him out wide, and in that space that's created, we'll go attack with Sancho or Nkunku or Palmer. Can you see why? Can you see where the lack of fear is in the case of it's Sancho attacking the space, or it's Nkunku attacking the space. Whereas
I agree that there's a lack of fear there, but I think it's one of those things where like even if that is the case, you do not want to be giving us a volume of opportunities. I think if you start giving us a volume of opportunities, I think that's where the issue arises. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to constantly let Neto,
anyone.
that's like if you're going to constantly let
Yes,
Neto
yeah.
get drag you out of position and open up a space, even if it is a Sancho, even if it's an Nkuku, like they only need to be right one time for them to
yeah,
like,
and
affect the game.
Palmer's going to start scoring again at some point. So I agree. Boys, what's your score predictions for this game? Viewers, we'd love to hear from you as well on that. I'm going to start with Toon Tactics first of all. Arsenal versus Chelsea, Super Sunday. What are you saying?